Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. And a couple of announcements. Remember, March 19th on Saturday, we're having a food over medicine. It's our annual retreat. It's from 10 to 3. It includes lunch if you come to the office. You can also watch it remote. The whole program is based on the concepts in my pretty popular still book, Food Over Medicine, the conversation that can change your life. So I provide updates. All the issues that I covered in the book are still valid, but there's just new research to support a lot of them. So I provide updates. There's lots of time for questions and answers, and we take questions from the people who watch remote as well. There are all kinds of things going on at Wellness Forum that you might want to make a trip to Columbus to be here for the weekend. So you could, for example, come in on Friday, take yoga class at 5:30. We have low lights and music. It's like a happy hour yoga class on Friday night. Attend the Food Over Medicine program on Saturday. We're actually having a fundraiser party at our office on Saturday night. And then Sunday, you could take another yoga class in the morning and then make the trip home. So it might be worth your while to spend a weekend in Columbus with us. And then the other thing I'll mention is I'm going to continue to hold workshops for health professionals who are looking for what they're going to do. I call it the "What do I want to be when I grow up" workshop. And the next one's scheduled for Thursday, April 7th at 9 p.m. Eastern. These are free. What I do is talk about what I think the healthcare system holds for the future, what your options are. I give some practice models and answer questions and just at least give people something to think about as they're figuring out what they want to do if they don't want to work in a hospital anymore, for example. So you're welcome to participate in that. And if, by the way, if you are not a healthcare professional and you're interested in training, you can also participate in this conversation because we have some programs for people who are entering the healthcare field for the first time as well. So my email address is pampopper@msn.com. Feel free to send me an email if you'd like to participate. Oh, and one more thing I'm going to mention to you. The advanced study program for this month, which is where we pick a book to talk about, is going to be Chatter. And it's about the conversation we all have with ourselves as we're just going about our day. And, ever since I started reading this book, preparing the slide sets and everything, I've become incredibly aware of all the thoughts rolling through my head every day, all day, as I go about doing what I'm doing. It's a pretty interesting thing to study. And it has a profound effect on your life in ways that you might not have thought of before. So anyway, those workshops are scheduled for, I think, I'll see here on my calendar. It is March 14th and 15th. It's a Monday and Tuesday from at 7:00 p.m. Eastern time. And you can either, you can purchase access to those, or that's included as a benefit of several of our memberships. So if that kind of thing interests you and you're thinking about joining, also send me an email and I'll send you some information about that. So I want to talk about today one of my favorite topics, which is pets. You guys know I have a fuzzy buddy, I call him, my friend Schroeder, who's lived with me for 17 years this month, actually. He's 17 and a half years old. And he has a lot of health issues, but he's glad he's got a mom who knows how to take care of some of those health issues. So he has a really great quality of life, even though he's a little old man in a fur coat. That's how I refer to him. So I think there are a lot of reasons to adopt a pet. One reason, for me anyway, animals are a lot more friendly and trustworthy than some humans are. They're loyal and cute and cuddly, and I can't say that about some humans. They're generous and they give unconditional love. In fact, my good friend, Dr. Peter Bregan, the psychiatrist, has said many times that sometimes when he speaks to his patients, they've said their best memory from childhood was a pet, having a dog or a cat. And for some people, it's the only happy memory they have. Well, several years ago, I did some research in order to present a lecture called The Healing Power of Pets. People had asked me about this, and intuitively, I knew that pets are good for health. I mean, I've been a pet parent almost all my life, and I've benefited from it. I know I have. So I was just hoping I could find some published evidence that this was true and was prepared to just scour the medical literature and find some. But I didn't have to look very hard. There is a lot of research, including not just case reports, but some studies showing that visits to farms and having contact with farm animals and horses can calm very disturbed children. And that's just one. I mean, I did a whole presentation on this. So I wasn't surprised when I saw a new study come across my email showing that having pets reduces the rate of cognitive decline in seniors, and the magnitude of the association was larger in long-term pet parents. And I always look at that because when there's what we call a dose-dependent effect, it strengthens the association. The data came from a longitudinal study that involved 1,360 people who were followed for several years. They were average age 65, and they were all cognitively sound at baseline. 53% of them were pet parents, and 32% were long-term pet parents. And the research was pretty clear. It was presented at, I think, a neurology conference, and one of the researchers said, you know, you can't prove a cause and effect relationship, but there is some evidence that long-term pet ownership could be protective. And, you know, when you think about it, it's much better to adopt pets, eat well, drink water, and exercise than it is to deteriorate, end up in a memory care center, and lose your quality of life, right? This isn't the only study that connects pet parenting to healthy aging. Studies have demonstrated that pet ownership can reduce loneliness and depression, both of which have been associated with negative cognitive changes. Military veterans with post-traumatic stress disorder, for example, experience significantly greater improvement in depression and loneliness scores after adopting a dog, according to Stephen Stern, a doctor at the University of Texas Health Science Center. He says this: when I started working in the PTSD clinic at the VA, I was struck by the fact that veterans with PTSD would frequently talk about their dogs and how much having a dog helped them, he said. That observation led to a small clinical trial that randomized veterans with PTSD to dog adoption from a local humane society or a 3-month wait list. Within just a month, most veterans who adopted a dog reported a positive experience based on companionship with their pet, and a lot of them became more physically and socially active, both of which would lead to lessening depression and loneliness. UK researchers reported that pets might even help people with early dementia to get better. In the UK study, part of the benefit was caring for the pet, and the more responsible the person was for the pet, the better the improvement. So, you know, there are a lot of animals out there that need a home, and there are a lot of people who probably should adopt a pet because it would be good for them physically, mentally, socially, etc. And I think even I think back when I was a kid, we always had pets when I was a kid. My mother got into rescuing pets, and just one story that I'll share with you that goes to the point. My father was kind of always the guy who said, you know, enough animals already. I remember one time, this was after I left home, my parents had 4 cats. And my mother rescued 3 little kittens who either the mother had been injured or hurt or killed or whatever, but something happened, and these little kittens who hadn't even been properly weaned were abandoned. She brought them home. I happened to be visiting my parents one day right after this happened, and you know, my father's feeding them with a dropper and washing them in the kitchen sink because they couldn't bathe themselves and everything. And he's saying to my mother, now as soon as these cats can be on their own, they're out of here because we're not going to be those people who have 7 cats. And I said, Dad, you know, you've already given them a name. I think they're here to stay. Well, you know, my mother died in 2012, and I think the last cat of those 3 just died a couple years ago. So my father became very attached to those animals, in spite of the fact that he kept saying, "No more cats." He would say that all the time. We have a dog, we have cats, you know, but no more. And then he would get incredibly attached to the new pet who came into the house. So if you haven't had a pet ever, I strongly suggest that you adopt one. And if you have had pets your whole life like me, you already know how incredible it is. And I don't think I ever want to be without one for any long period of time. So anyway, just some happy news to pass on. Animals are our best friends and they can make our lives better. And if you are lonely or depressed or whatever, and feeling blue about anything, particularly now, you might want to consider adopting one. In fact, what I can tell you is during these last couple of years when everything in the world kind of shrank in terms of our social activities and all that sort of thing, being home for so much time was much nicer because Schroeder's here with me. And I treasure every day. I know at this age, he is not going to be with me forever, but every single day that he's here is great. And that's the way we look at it. All right. Well, I hope that's inspiring you a little bit. That's all for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think might enjoy watching it. And I will be back to you tomorrow with more news, of course, on other platforms. Have a great day.